We shall
I'm FX. In August 1963, when I was 15, my sister Pat and I marched in Washington, D.C.
My name is Donna Jean Brooks. I believe in Dr. King and his crusade to bring equality, and I'm trying to bring equality here in Anchorage, Alaska. I was raised here and I love my state, but I don't like the discrimination and the badness that I see now. I grew up in a time when it was very pleasant. Kids were watched over, not shot and killed. This is a new phase for me in Anchorage, Alaska. So I came because I believed in Dr. King's dream, and I wanted to be here.
My name's Anthony, and I'm here because the event sounded cool. Bridget over here invited me. She's in charge of the Title IX stuff over here at UAA.
My name is Bridget Cafu, and I work in the Office of Equity and Compliance, and I'm here today because I think it's really important to support the work of our students within BSU, and also to help celebrate the memory of this important, the March on Washington, which is a super important event in our civil rights history and our future as well.
My name is Ellis, and I'm here tonight to pay tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King and all those who sacrificed time and effort and energy to the civil rights movement.
So my name is Susan Means, and I'm here because this is an important thing to be a part of.
To help. You're so welcome.
My name is Kimberly Pace, and I'm here to support this amazing event, and I think that it's great to commemorate this event that happened 55 years ago. It's so relevant now to what our nation is facing today. It's great to be here with all these people.
Hi, I'm Allie Jackson. I'm a volunteer here working with student activities for March on Washington.
I'm Ray Thorne. I'm the director of the Multicultural Center here at UAA, and I'm here to do two things, to share, well, three things, to hear the tremendous community support for the 55th commemoration of Pineapple Junior Students in March on Washington, to register students to vote, and to talk a little bit about my department, Multicultural Center. That was a video, not a.
My name is Nyrek. I'm actually the treasurer of the Black Student Union. I'm here because I helped plan this, but yeah, I'm also speaking at the event. So.
Hi, I'm Teresa, and I'm a volunteer for March on Washington, part of student activities.
Hi, my name is Sharon Pinkley, and I'm the teacher librarian at Clark Middle School and the coordinator of the Clark Informers. And tonight we're here to share more information about the March on Washington, the demands that was made at the time, and also the way they were supposed to behave and discipline themselves for the march. So hope you guys enjoy our part. Thank you.
Evelyn, and I'm here to see the program.
Caleb, Emmanuel, Anastasia, Clark Informers.
I'm Kyler, and I'm part of the Single Debate team, and we're volunteering to help out this year.
Here because I was invited to the program to support my sister in Christ, and so I'm here.
My name's Julian Alexander, and I'm part of the committee. And I'm here because registered for, and my slide, I have a slideshow in this program with the Voice of the Civil Rights Movement.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. We're all good. And I'm going to be doing number 10.
Nice.
I'm joining in, because of course. Like, by George, I think they've got it.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I am overwhelmed by all your faces tonight. And I would like to thank our volunteers, our participants, and those of you who were voluntold to be here. Really appreciate having a full house on time. This is a very auspicious time for us. We've lost a great lady in Miss Aretha Franklin, and in doing the presentation for her, at 49 years old, I found out that she, at 16, had already started her work with Dr. King. We can start them very young, ladies and gentlemen. This process is ongoing and very fulfilling when it's done correctly. I also want to mention, if there's anybody who still has their index cards, please pass them down to the end of your row so that our ushers can collect them. I really didn't expect this kind of response. This is awesome. And we're going to get to know each other tonight. All right. Okay? So, if you're bashful, raise your hand. If you're a hand like me, please stand. Those of you upstairs, you might not see the back row, but when you find out a little bit about somebody, you feel like you've made a friend. And then when we leave tonight, say hi to that person that you happen to have something in common with, or if you just like their sense of humor. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Mr. Hartwell, the music director of the Shiloh Baptist Church. He'll be doing the national anthem for us.
Oh, say kind, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in the air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Our kind and Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here together as friends and family, for us to join together our hands and our hearts to be a team that does your work in drawing this community closer together. Bless those that have had hands in this event, and bless those that have come to support us. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. My name is Cheryl Cox Williams. I am your University of Alaska Anchorage President of the Black Student Union. And though I graciously accept your applause, we all know I couldn't have done this without a very, very dynamic team behind me. Most notably, the executive board of the Black Student Union, our secretary, Anthony Taylor, our treasurer, Nairak Kwani, and our executive outreach coordinator, Ms. Raquel Williams, who you know, Williams, yeah. But I have to draw your attention to the second page of our program, because I will not be able to read everyone who's had a part in this. But there's a name that's on my mind, and I would be remiss not to mention, and that is Mr. Corey Miller. If I could have a round of applause for Corey Miller. This event starts off with meeting your professor. One Shamalee Whitney, communication professor. And she says, aren't you Black Student Union? Depends, what are you up to? And she reminds me that the 55th anniversary of the March on Washington will be happening in August. So she just sent out, and if you've ever gotten one of her emails, it's, you know, if you're willing, if you can, if you care, we're putting a committee together. Long story short, the committee came together, and it grew and it shrank, and we had vacations, and we had breaks, and we had decisions to make, but you're here tonight to show that many hands make work light. All right. I would like to jump right into this program with some very special young people. The Clark Middle School Informers. These young people took 1.5 weeks to get ready to be here with us, getting their warning shot during the summer. I'm so very proud of them. Clark Middle School Informers.
We travel through our community to inform others about important people, topics, holidays, and observances. Our purpose is not to perform, but to inform our audience by learning, enriching, empowering, and educating them. On behalf of our principal, Ms. Williams, and our coordinator, Ms. Pinckney, I'd like to thank you for inviting us to present at this important event. The March on Washington was a massive protest that occurred in August 1963, when some 250,000 people gathered in front of the Lincoln Memorial Center. Also known for the March on Washington was for jobs and freedom. The event was aimed to draw attention to inequalities and challenges inequalities faced by African Americans, especially after emancipation. Best known for the iconic I Had a Dream keynote speech orated by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The purpose of the march was to address the twin evils of discrimination and economic deprivation. The idea for the 1963 March on Washington was envisioned by A. Philip Randolph, a longtime civil rights activist. He gained the support of 10 other major civil rights activists from influential organizations, and together they created a statement to ensure that the march would be an orderly, disciplined, and a non-violent march. The informers will now recite the document that was developed by the Civil Rights League, calling for discipline in connection with the march. Thank you.
The Washington March of August 28th is more than just a demonstration. It was conceived as an outpouring of deep feeling for millions of white and colored American citizens. The time has come for the government of the United States of America, and particularly for the Congress of that government, to grant and guarantee complete equality and citizenship to the Negro minority of our population. As such, the Washington March is a living petition, in the flesh, of the scores of thousands of citizens of both races who will be present from all parts of our country.
It will be orderly, but not subservient. It will be proud, but not arrogant. It will be nonviolent, but not timid. It will be unified in purposes and behavior, not splintered by groups and individual competitors. It will be outspoken, but not ruckus. It will have the dignity of befitting a demonstration in behalf of the human rights of 20 millions of people, with the eye of the judgment of the world focused upon Washington, D.C. on August 28, 1963. In a neighborhood dispute, there might be stunts, rough words, and even hot insults. But when a whole people speaks to its government, the dialogue and the action must be on the level reflecting the worth of that people and the responsibility of that government.
We, the undersigned, who see the Washington March as wrapping up the dreams, hopes, ambitions, tears, and prayers of millions who have lived for this day, call upon the members, followers, and well-wishers of our several organizations to make the march a disciplined and purposeful demonstration. We call upon them all, black and white, to resist provocations to disorder and to violence. We ask them to remember that evil persons are determined to smear this march and to discredit the cause of equality by deliberate efforts to stir disorder.
We call for self-discipline so that no one in our own ranks, however enthusiastic, shall be the spark for disorder. We call for resistance to the efforts of those who, while not enemies of the march as such, might seek to use it to advance causes to the civil rights or to the welfare of our country. We ask each and every one in attendance in Washington or in spiritual attendance back home to place the cause above all else. Do not permit a few irresponsible people to hang new problems around our necks as we return home. Let's do what we came to do. Place the national human rights problem squarely on the doorstep for the National Congress and of the federal government. Let's win at Washington. Thank you.
The civil rights movement in the United States during the 1950s and 1960s was the political, legal, and social struggle to gain full citizenship rights for Black Americans and to achieve racial equality. Individuals and civil rights organizations challenged segregation and discrimination in a variety of ways, including protest marches, boycotts, and refusal to abide by segregation laws. The informers will now share the 10 demands the civil rights leaders hope to accomplish by marching on Washington. The first demand is comprehensive and effective civil rights legislation from the present Congress and to guarantee all Americans access to all public accommodations, decent housing, and adequate and integrated education, and the right to vote.
Demands 2 through 4 consist of 2. Withholding of federal funds from all programs in which discrimination exists. 3. Desegregation of all school districts in 1963. And 4. Enforcement of the 14th Amendment, reducing congressional representation of states where citizens are disfranchised.
Demands 5 and 6 included Demand 5, an executive order banning discrimination in all housing supported by federal funds, and Demand 6, authority for the Attorney General to institute injunctive suits when any constitutional right is violated.
Demands 7 through 10 requested that 7. A massive federal program train in place all unemployed workers, black and white, on meaningful and dignified jobs at decent wages. 8. A national minimum wage act provide all Americans with a decent standard of living. 9. A broad and fair labor standards act include all areas of employment which were presently excluded. And 10. A federal Fair Employment Practices Act barring discrimination by federal, state, and municipal governments, as well as employers, contractors, employment agencies, and trade unions. Thank you.
In closing, 55 years after the 1963 March on Washington, The United States remains the most socioeconomically unequal of all Western nations and has less social mobility than either Canada or Europe. To champion the contemporary fight for economic and social equity, the 2018 commemoration of the 1963 March for Jobs and Freedom focuses on access to education, jobs, and contracts for women and for ethnic, racial, and sexual minorities. We hope the information we shared about the organization of the 1963 March on Washington and its demands enlightened, empowered, enriched, and educated you. Not only because it was the demonstration for human rights in United States history, but because the interracial and intergenerational March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom was an unprecedented display of civic activism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clark Middle School. And now they're going home to go to bed for school tomorrow. I want to thank our volunteers over and over again. I'd like to thank the Meetup Group, Random Acts of Kindness, and the Multiracial and Friends for being here today. I'd like to thank the Debate Seawolf. I didn't get him, Dr. Johnson. Seawolf Debate Team for being here. The hands in this project are many. But I also have some bigwigs that have been very supportive, and they're even here tonight to show their support. It would be Bruce Schultz, Vice Chancellor. Dr. Jean Brenning. The guy that works at the Dean of Students office, Ben Morton. Steve Johnson of the Seawolf Debate Program, who put his money where his mouth is. Georgia DeCaircy, Director of Student Health and Counseling Center. And the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Andre Thorne, the Director of the Multicultural Center. Okay, we're gonna play my game. The lights are right in my eyes, so if you are someone upstairs, I'm gonna do like this to see if you're there. So, Phil Means. Where are you, Phil? There's Phil's hand down on the third row on the first level. Phil's answer to the question was, what's the farthest you've ever been from home? Phil has been in Kampala, Uganda. All right, quickly. Christopher A. Thomas, where are you? Up front. All right, which question did you answer? What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation? My kids are gonna laugh at this one. You could give a 40-minute presentation on the World of Warcraft. For the Horde. I didn't know that was important, so I apologize for any future edits. All right. Angela Wilson, where are you? Angela Wilson.
She had to leave.
She had to leave. I'm gonna have to separate these cards. Kendra Gladwell. Hi, Kendra. That's what you get for knowing me, right? You're up front. All right. Number 1. Everyone has a book in them. And her answer was Half a World Curly Girl. Bridget Kofu. I know Bridget's here. There you go, Bridget. What's the answer? Which question did you ask? What was the dumbest thing you've done that actually turned out pretty well? I free climbed a rock, already a bad idea, at the top of a bluff at sunset. The view was beautiful, but I then had to climb down. right, so that's how that's going to go, and I'll start talking faster as the evening goes on. Without further ado, a gentleman who doesn't need an introduction, so I won't give one. The mayor of our great city, Mr. Ethan Berkowitz.
Since my friend Aaron Leggett wasn't here, let me begin by acknowledging that we're on the traditional homelands of the Dena'ina Athabascan and thank them for welcoming us. Chinan. Langston Hughes wrote, "Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed." Fellow dreamers, progress towards a dream is neither inexorable nor inevitable. And in this time, the march that we began more than 55 years ago continues. And people march in boots, they march in sandals. They march in sensible shoes, in fancy shoes. They march on dusty streets, on highways, on byways. But we always march with the idea that we see the mountaintop. And we are reaching towards that mountaintop. Because the dream is a responsibility. And in this time and age where people seek to divide us, where they cleave the differences between us, those of us who believe in something bigger and something better have a responsibility to participate and to push back. Because all of us find freedom, all of us find opportunity, all of us find grace when that dream is something real. But none of us can get there alone. And one of the great lessons of history is that nobody achieved anything by themselves. No individual, no people, no country, none of us. So the obligation that we have today, those who march in our own shoes and at the same time stand in the shoes of those who came before, is to work together, to stay focused on the mountaintop, and to do what we can to make the dream real. And here in Anchorage, we have a unique opportunity to make it so. We pride ourselves on the fact that we have the most diverse neighborhoods in the United States, the most diverse schools. That is a point of pride. The point of achievement comes when we make that diversity something real. When we create pathways of opportunity, pathways for justice, when we make the values of this country real, when we do what Langston Hughes said, when we dream of this country as it should be and make it that way. Thank you.
Ben Rosen said that he could give a 40-minute presentation on absolutely nothing. No. He said the sports, NBA, NFL, what's MLB? Fran said that her book would be My Colorful Family from Every Corner of the Earth. Samantha Harris. Where are you, Samantha? There she is. She said, living your true life. And all right, we're gonna have some good books. Keith Gibbons, where are you? In the back on the first floor, Keith says that he could give a presentation on cooking and management. We gotta talk. Ms. Glenn? There, we have two Gwens? Uh-oh, I know which one I'm asking about. Gwen Alexander, sitting in the back row. She said, how does she relax after a hard day of work? Ms. Gwen, you wrote it like you talk, sis. I get on my computer, I play games while listening to a show on TV, I also cook something I haven't cooked before. Ms. Gwen, that's not relaxing. Ted Parsons. Ted? Oh, there you go. Hi, Ted. We met earlier. Ted, why are you here? He's here because in 1963, Ted was in high school. I remember Dr. King's speech. I wanted to honor his memory and the things he stood for. Thank you. That applause is for looking so good after being in high school in 1963. Matt Fernandez, up front row, mastermind between our next act, Anchorage Community Theater. Matt, that sounds like cat. Matt, should I read all three of these? Because this is giving a whole new side to you. Okay. What would be the first question? Matt, really? Okay. What would be the first question after waking up from being cryogenically frozen for 100 years? Can I smoke? That's your boss. So without further ado, Matt, please bring to the stage the Anchorage Community Theater.
Good evening. Okay now, we're all gathered here today, and we're going to say the freedom train is coming. We're going to say it loud, and we're going to say it clear. You see, Governor Barnett, Phillips, they will hear it all over the state of Mississippi saying, the freedom train is coming. So we're going to say it again. And we're going to sing it. We're going to sing it beautifully. We're going to sing it clearly. And we are going to sing it together. So let's go one more time. 'Tis that freedom train a-comin', comin', comin'. 'Tis that freedom train a-comin', comin', comin'. 'Tis that freedom train a-comin', comin', comin'. Let's get on board. Get on board. Okay now, we all here. We're all here to ride. We're all here to witness a great rally tonight. Yes, indeed we are. The rally of King and Henry. The rally of Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Governor. We're here to witness a wonderful, momentous time. And we're here to witness what real freedom is all about. And what we want to know tonight, is there anybody in this place tonight that don't want freedom? But we're here. I'm telling you, we are here fighting for freedom. We're here together, and we are fighting together. So if there is anybody in this house tonight that don't want freedom, we're going to make it want it tonight. Now, so we're going to tell the world. We're going to tell the world that the freedom train is coming. We're going to tell them it's carrying nothing but freedom. So, since we're in here now, saying that the freedom train is coming, there are folks outside that didn't come in tonight. And you know what they say? They say, I hear y'all talking about the freedom train is coming. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? I want to understand. Will there be any Governor Barnetts on this train? No. Will there be any Phillips on this train? No. Will there be any Johnsons on this train? No. No. No, no. There will be no segregation on this train. There will be no segregation, nothing but freedom on this train. So we're going to tell them. And we're going to tell them loud that the freedom train is coming and it's carrying nothing but freedom.
It'll be carrying nothing but freedom, freedom, freedom. It'll be carrying nothing but freedom, freedom, freedom. It'll be carrying nothing but freedom, freedom, freedom. Get on board. Get on board.
Get on board, yes. Now we told them the freedom train is coming. And it's carrying nothing but freedom. So, it's understandable for the concern. We have people saying, I know that I didn't cash in my freedom ballot like I should have done. What can I do? They say, is there room on this train for me?
Yes.
Can I carry my sister with me?
Yes.
Can I carry my daughter with me?
Yes.
My brother, my mother, my uncles, my cousins. I want to carry everybody on the train with me. Can they go on this freedom train with me? Will you go on the freedom train with us? Now, I know I've not done what I should have done for the cause of freedom. This is what they say. So what can I do? Will there be room for me? Will there be room for you, for me? Yes! There will be freedom. There will be room for all of you. You see, the freedom train is coming not just by one. The freedom train will be coming by the thousands. So you must understand tonight that you do not have to worry. Because the freedom train is coming by the thousands.
Till there be many by the thousands, thousands, thousands. Till there be many by the thousands, thousands, thousands. Till there be many by the thousands, thousands, thousands. Let's get on board. Get on board.
Will you get on board with us tonight?
Tyson, do you know what you wrote? All right. All right, it's too late now. What is the most impressive thing you know how to do? Did y'all see where Tyson is? Tyson says, I can harvest veins from a human body. I got my eye on you, Tyson. Carrie Ryan Frank. Carrie Ryan Frank, over there. Second row, my left, your right. What could you do a 40-minute presentation on? Big band music. All right, you dance to it too? Jasmine Johnson, where are you? Jasmine, third row next to to Tyson. Hence the reason the cards are together. Okay. I might resemble this remark. Your presentation's on 2 black hair types and how to care for them. The one in the middle of the head and the one in the round of the head. Patricia Partnow. Patricia, hi, next to Tyson. Okay, Patricia, what are you up to for a 40-minute presentation? Alaska history. Okay, you're going to be a part of my next program. All right, and her furthest place that she's been, because I have to add both in, you've been to Egypt. Wow. Nice, traveler. Susan Riley. I see a pattern developing. All right. What takes up too much of your time? Settlers of Catan. All right, somebody who goes by FX Nolan. Where are you? You all handed your cards to the same usher. All right, and you've been to Japan. Awesome.
Everybody
our next speaker up, Cindy Knoll. She said, pronounce the K. Who has impressed you the most in what they've accomplished? And I won't be able to get through all of these cards tonight, but ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for sharing. You are an amazing group and you've done amazing things. But this card, Cindy, I have a little shiver. My father is a high school dropout. He helped support 2 sisters during the Depression. He's a World War II vet, volunteer firefighter, EMT, who has saved untold number of people in the rural community. Thank you so much to your dad. We also have Susan Randlett. Susan? Well, it turns out that Susan's dad taught piano at Fisk in the 1960s, and he met Dr. King after playing for one of his speeches. All right, this is a visual and you have to stand up. Matthew Vincent, where are you? Matthew? All right, Matthew. Matthew's on the top row, folks, and first row, top row, and his most annoying question is, do you have a twin? So we have to check you out to make sure I wasn't one of the people who said that to you. All right. It just says Paige. Paige? All right, Paige. What are some small things that make your day better? Brings a smile. The kindness of others, smiles, hellos, and those brief conversations. All right, your boyfriend brought this to me. He said, this is my girlfriend's card. Janelle Throwbridge. All right. She can give a presentation on mushing and sailing stories and techniques. Did not see that coming, Ms. Throwbridge. All right. Our travelers, Mary Crosby. Where are you? There's Mary. She's been to Fiji and she can do a presentation on the ukulele. Ethan, no last name. He's been to Antarctica, South Pole. All right, Allie Jackson. There you go. Everybody see Allie in the middle of the room. She has some small things that make her day better. Seeing my baby sibling smile. Well, here's a gentleman who's going to make you smile. He's going to make you think. And we'll talk about it after you hear him. We would like to bring to the podium Pastor Andre Parker of the Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church.
I don't know if I'm going to make you smile, but you will talk about it. Thank you, the staff, for inviting me to share on this evening. When our country was suffering great injustice and the streets were filled with extreme hatred and violence, August 28, 1963 gathered some 250,000 people. And when invited to the podium, Dr. Martin Luther King stated these words: "This has been one of the great days of America. And I think this march will go down in history as the greatest, if not the greatest, demonstration of freedom and human dignity ever held in the United States." These words still reign true today as we celebrate and remember that historic event. The extreme courage and dedication it took for men and women of all races to fight for a dream is indescribable. Thus, the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom should be a great motivator for us now. Today, our nation is still plagued with discrimination, sexism, racism, violence, injustice, and to even speak of a peaceful world to some is inconceivable. There are continued challenges and inequalities ahead of us. Generations after us will have to deal with what we don't handle now. And as we celebrate and remember on this 55th anniversary of the March on Washington, it is essential to remember the message and keep dreaming. Keep dreaming for equality in our criminal justice system. Keep dreaming that the disproportionate incarceration rate of minorities would diminish. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming for poverty abatement for all people. Keep dreaming for economic justice for all people. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming to remove the barriers that hinder quality health care with sustainability for all people. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming for racial equality and non-discrimination. Keep dreaming to end gerrymandering. Keep dreaming, I tell you. Keep dreaming that our nation would turn back to the foundation of establishing justice, ensuring domestic equality, providing for the common defense, promoting the general welfare, and securing the blessings of liberty for ourselves and the posterity. Keep dreaming to build a stronger, harmonious, unified, healthier, and nonviolent democracy. I close with these words. All of us have a part in the matter. And Dr. Benjamin E. Mays made a statement. He was a Baptist minister, civil rights leader, president of Morehouse College in '63. Said every man and woman is born into the world to do something unique and something distinctive. And if you don't do it, it won't get done. We must introspectively look at ourselves and ask the question, what can I do to make this world better? Let's not waste the time, the energy, the resources, the voices, the ability that each one of us have, but let's continue to fight. That started 55 years ago. So I say tonight, keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. And to wake your neighbor up, why don't you just look at them and ask them and tell them, keep dreaming. Thank you, and God bless you.
I love it when a plan comes together. I had a dream that tonight would be possible. I'd like to have some dreamers start lining up for their turn. Mr. Niall Morris, Miss Leslie Pedgren, if you can all start lining up over here. Your papers have a number on the bottom. Professor Johnson, Professor Ian Hartman, Bridget Kofu, Keith Gibbons, Carrie Ryan Frank, Gwen Alexander, Professor Michelle Skaman, Mr. George Martinez, Professor Kimberly Pace, Jennifer Spencer, Nairak Kwani, Mook Nobaliza, and Ali Jackson. If you'll all see Teresa and line up in number order, please. All right. Now, Emma Martinez Smith, where are you? Emma, do you know what you wrote? All right. The book that Emma has, the movie title best describes your life. Make it a book, mark it, and put it in the adult section, Naked and Afraid. I didn't know I needed to put disclaimers on these, but I will read the ones that are on the edge. Michelle Skaman. Michelle Skaman, Professor Michelle Skaman is lining up over here. She has been what has been my lead minion. And professors working with students, I have to say that the group that has worked with us this summer have been very gracious and patient, and Michelle Skaman would be one of them. But after I say all of that, the book that she's going to write is Confessions for Animals. Solveig, are you here? Yes. You know, I'm a communications minor, the first person who failed me on public speaking. And Solveig said, number 3, how do you relax after a hard day of work? Walk in the woods with my dog. I have a fur grandbaby. He doesn't walk, he runs. All right, Steve Hawkins. There you go. Hi, Steve. All right, number 1, they say that everyone has a book in them. Your book's called Seeking Knowledge. You can't write that book. All right, Tom, C-H-O-A-T-E, sounds like goat, oat, Charles. All right, they say that everyone has a book in them, The Alaska Wilderness. All right, what's the most impressive thing you know how to do? Climb cliffs and ice. No, my friend, that's the most dangerous things that you know how to do. All right. Our group here is an impromptu group that has been put together over dinner. We are unable to show the actual video of the speech tonight, but never fear, Sergeant Williams' Mama Bear is here. And we have some volunteers and some voluntoes. And I know Nile is a free will. Come on and get your wireless microphone. And we will be reading 1 paragraph per person. If you are comfortable with a podium. Please forgive him. He has, like I said, this was put together moments ago. So I'm standing by with a microphone for the next person. As you come off the stage, we'll hand it to the next person.
I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had once seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity.
But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the menaces of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negroes live on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still lavished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. 100 years later.
So we come here today to dramatize this shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was the promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity in this nation. And so we have come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the securities of justice.
We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or taking the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlight path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook this urgency of the moment.
This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is all invigorating atonement of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. And those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will not be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of the revolt will continue to shape the foundations of our nation until the bright day of our justice emerges.
But there is something that I must say to my people who stand on the worn threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forgive or forever conduct our struggles on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must now not allow our creative protest to degenerate in our physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous numilency which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. And they have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back.
There are those that are asking the devotees of the civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is a victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto into a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating, for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote. And the Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote for. No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like the waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Cool, sir.
I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow the situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair.
I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even in the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists and its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black girls and little black boys will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers.
I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, land where my father died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this will become true.
So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the shining Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curviest slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from the Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring.
And when this happens, and when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, we will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
That was a wonderful impromptu presentation. Well, so when the video wasn't being able to be played, then I crossed things out on my program, but I was reminded that Don Mega's voice is really kind of awesome when it echoes across the halls. So if you will indulge me, we will listen to the introduction that was prepared by our radio personality, Don Mega, because he wasn't able to be here tonight.
On August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. approached the Lincoln Memorial and gave one of the most inspirational speeches in American history. It was a typical hot and sticky day in the nation's capital. Over 250,000 people took part in a rally known as the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Men, women, and children, black and white, old and young had gathered from around the country. Some had taken days to arrive by bus along hostile terrain in the American South. Other speakers from the day's events included A. Philip Randolph and Walter Reuther, two legendary labor leaders who spoke on behalf of working men and women. Both explained that all work was dignified and that no one should go without 3 square meals and a roof over their head. The words of those who demand a living wage, workplace representation, and access to health care for all very much echoed the precise arguments of Reuther and Randolph. NAACP President Roy Wilkins, a representative from King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the Congress of Racial Equality spoke as well. Men, such as the future Georgia Congressman John Lewis, gave impassioned pleas for racial justice. Looking back on remarks, one sees a who's who of civil rights icons and activists. It was indeed a high watermark in the nation's ongoing struggle to achieve equality for all. However, one does not see women amid the raft of speakers, a glaring oversight worth noting as we push forward in this new era of civil rights. The primary organizer, Bayard Rustin, did not speak for fear that his sexual orientation would repel otherwise sympathetic marches. As we push forward to this new era of civil rights, let us not forget the struggles of our gay, lesbian, and transgender brothers and sisters. As we pause and listen to this speech, let us remember that Martin Luther King Jr. spoke out against racism. He also spoke out against other evils plaguing American society. He spoke out against war, against poverty, against the exploitation of workers and children. He spoke on behalf of those who lacked a voice. He knew well how incomplete his dream was, and dare I say, he would find the dream still a work in progress today. But he'd give voice to all dreamers who viewed this land one of opportunity. As we listen to this in 2018, let us consider the various ways injustice continues. Let us fight for those who are marginalized, just as King advocated. The words of his speech apply to all, regardless of race, citizenship, or gender, our sexuality, or age. Let the dream move us to action in a world where some of our leaders fail to even speak basic truth on a daily basis. Let us now listen to some of the truest words ever uttered. Let us build a better world in the image of these words spoken by Martin Luther King 55 years ago. Let us keep the dream alive. Thank you.
Dr. Ian Hartman from the History Department, and he was responsible for writing the script for that voiceover. Thank you, Dr. Hartman. A little housekeeping note, if I can have 2 ushers meet me to my right, your left door after I finish my remarks. I'd like to hearken to what was mentioned in Don Mega's introduction. In 2018, I stand before you a retired Army veteran of 20 years, 0 days, 0 hours, a mother, a very proud mother to the point where I embarrassed them. In a attendance tonight, I would like to tell my progeny. My daughter, Raquel, a nursing student here in the sophomore year. My son, Mark Anthony Cox, who is a recipient of your ROTC scholarship after serving 2 years active duty. And his wife, Jessica Cox, who is also a recipient of one of your associate's degrees in business and the only working member of the family. We are UAA. We are what Dr. King was dreaming about. My grandchildren, no pressure, no pressure, are going to have the unique opportunity of being Yupik, Mexican, Jamaican, and Black American. What world will welcome them? What will their professors be like? What will they be taught? What will they be allowed to express? I too have a dream that we can really see Black boys and Black girls hold hands with white boys and white girls in a cooperative, collaborative way, similar to the way this program was put together. If you can imagine that anthropology talked to history and talked to journalism, and then the dean of students showed up, this was a dream come true. But I don't want it to be, I warmed the seats at the Fine Arts Building. We now know there's somebody here who can harvest veins. And when the book Naked and Afraid becomes a movie, I won't be able to watch it. I've kind of given up on the R+X ratings. These are the things that come to mind. The Black Student Union has been here for years. And like it was mentioned to me before, there'll be a time where it's just going gangbusters, and then it's gonna go back off. Is Black trending right now? Is that why you're here? This is not necessarily about Black. We have co-opted the poster child of what is happening in the world. And if we should ask the international students, the Latin students, to join us, there will be very little that you're going to be able to tell that's different about us. We're all very passionate. We don't want to disenfranchise anyone in this quest for diversity. Where there's anger, there's probably frustration. Where there's frustration, there's probably some questions that you want to ask. Tonight is a safe space where the daughter of a professor who met Dr. King, where the man that was in high school is sitting next to the harvester of veins. I just gotta keep going back to that. But for my professors who are here right now, that has watched this 49-year-old struggle with this return to education, I thank you for your patience. But what I do today, I do for my progeny. If I say I'm gonna do something, if it takes me 30 years to be a senior, I'm still gonna do it. If we're gonna do this 55 years later and we haven't moved the needle very far, don't model it for your coworkers, model it for your family. Start at home. We got a little Martinez here. He was on stage with his dad. This is how we create change. One family unit at a time. Whatever way your unit looks, you know that you're family. And oh, by the way, I'm the crazy auntie in your family too. We're moving along with our program and making really good time. I'd like the Underground Dance Company to start getting ready over here with Teresa. And I have a house guest, Levi Palmer, where are you? Way up on the second floor. Levi is here from Atlanta. Thanks, Levi, thanks for coming. We have Mook June Nobleza. All right. Number 2, what are you interested in that most people haven't heard of? Is that the right question? No. Okay, so that's number 3 you were going to do, but... All right, how I relax after a hard day of work is by eating as much food as I can and taking a long nap. Mook June, I'm a psychology major. 2.5 years from now, can you see? Autumn necessary. Up front, second row, Autumn. What is the most annoying question that people ask you? I was going to ask the same thing. Is that really your last name? David Stransky.
Right here.
Oh, behind the equipment up top. All right, which one do you want me to answer? I mean, you know, follow instructions type thing? What was the dumbest thing you've done that actually turned out pretty well? I kind of like this question. I'm going to include it in my next program. Sneaking backstage and meeting Neil deGrasse Tyson. All right, David Grossman. Up top, all the way up top. Hi, David. Number 2, what do you consider to be your best find? I don't understand, but I'm going to read what you wrote. Railroad Earth Jam Band. So that's a diamond in the rough. You need to look out for that one. Okay. It's called Railroad Earth. They're a jam band. All right. Kyler, INCE. You didn't tell me how to pronounce. Hi, Kyler, up on the second floor. Really?
I did a 10-minute presentation on it, and I think I could have extended to at least 30 minutes.
Curious?
Yeah.
Staff. All right, we've got harvesting beans down here. You guys compare notes. All right, last one for this iteration. Evelyn Miguel. No, he said pronounce it like mile. Mile. Evelyn. Make some noise. No?
Expectations so high. Is it the bar I set? My arms I stretch, but I can't reach. A far cry from it, or it's in my grasp. But as soon as I grab squeeze, I lose my grip like the flying trapeze. Into the dark I plummet. Now the sky's blackening. I know the mark's high, but flies rip apart my stomach. Knowing that no matter what bars I come with, you're gonna heart gripe. And that's a hard fight getting to swallow. So I scrap these. This pressure increases like khakis. I feel the ice cracking because it's the curse of the standard that the misstep to tarnish whatever the legacy, love, or respect I've garnered. The rhyme has to be perfect, the delivery flawless, and it always feels like I'm hitting the mark till I go sit in the car and listen and pick it apart. That's garbage. God's given me all this, still I feel no different regardless. Kids look to me as a god, this is retarded. If only they knew. It's a facade and it's exhaustive. I try not to listen to nonsense, but if they're trying to strip me of my confidence, mission accomplished. I'm not God said, Nas, Rakim, Pop, Big James, Scott Smith, and I'm not Prince.
Over there, that Jennifer. Okay. The book that's going to be written by Jennifer is about how caring and showing love can get you far in life. I like that one, Jennifer. Calvin Miller. All right, up front. That's usually dangerous when I'm up front, but you're good tonight. His annoying habit is okay, let's read the question as I wrote it. What is the most annoying habit that other people have? Not lacking basic respect. Aisha Jones, where are you?
She left.
Aisha.
She left.
She left. And my stage manager, Teresa Perez, hiding in the corner, she said what she does to relax is to read a book, watch a movie, and eat ice cream. That's multitasking. Kimberly, she's been to the Philippines. Mr. Cal Williams, boss, how you doing? All right. So, I'm going to do the dumbest thing, Mr. Cal. The dumbest thing you've ever done that actually turned out pretty well was a dance on my 12th grade desk and got caught. He's young at heart, folks. He's young at heart. Vaisavali. Did I get it close? You wrote it out for me. No? Clinton, B. Here we go, in the middle of the room. Clinton, what are some small things that make your day better? You know, there's a whole word for this. His day better is birds. He's a bird watcher. Not before the birds, but birds. Listening to them, watching them. There's a whole book on that. I didn't read it. Craig Alston. Craig? In front. All right, hey boss. You could write a 40-minute presentation on my testimonial. All right, and he's also been to Uganda. Richard Manuel. All right, I see Richard, back row off to my left, your right. Number 5, what are some of the small things that make your day better? Smiles and polite interactions with strangers. I'm very strange. Handwriting is important. Just random folks around me, right? That was part of that. All right, thank you. Julie. Sounds like Moulin Rouge. Where are you? Hi, Julie. All right, back row, my left, your right. You're a geologist. And you wrote something in front of algae. What was it? And that question was, what are you interested in that most people haven't heard of? You hit the nail on the head. All right. Philly Lee Tuila. I probably just butchered your name so bad you don't even recognize it. Makerita. Alright, all the hard names left her. Colby. Just Colby. Alright. Number 3, what takes up too much of your time? In 2.5 years. See? Worrying about things I've done that can't be changed. I will build my entire practice on working with people like you. Niall. There he is. Front row, second floor. Number 4. He also is going to be cryogenically frozen for 100 years. This resonates. His question after 100 years, is the Seawolf debate team now the one world government? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for playing my game tonight. As I mentioned, your response was incredible, and I won't be able to get to all the cards that were turned in, but understand the intent of the event. We have more in common than we have different, and we've got some really good harvesting going on. It's stuck in my head, boss. It's just stuck. You know, things you just don't expect to see. All right. So we are about to end our program, and as usual, there's class participation. I learned that from Soul. Class participation. So, at the end of this song that we will sing together at some point, first row, prepare to leave. You are going to exit to my left or right and follow ushers out that door while we continue singing. Second row, starting with you, boss, will exit following our usher out my right, your left. And we're going to keep singing. When we run out of words to sing, we're going to hum. Until everyone has exited the room. Second floor, your ushers are posted. If not, get them posted. Left to right. And we will orderly exit the building. I'm taking all your stuff with you because my volunteers want to leave right behind you as well. So, our song tonight is going to be first started off by the Morehouse Glee Club. If you've ever heard the Morehouse Glee Club, you're going to have chills. All male, that's just beautiful. Then our Anchorage Community Theater will lead us in 2 more verses, and then we all will sing whatever's up. And when we run out of words, we're going to hum until last man standing. Any questions? It was a pleasure being with you tonight. Have a good night.
Be
And thank you. That was a great evening.
Thank you. I had too much fun. I just invited 200 of my closest friends.